I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. I was driving in traffic the other day in my car and was behind a Vancouver transit bus that had the billboard advertising on the back of the bus. And it was for a real estate brokerage company with the headline, "No home is tough to sell." And I had to chuckle a little bit at that. And I would pretty strongly disagree with that. I've often said on my blog here, there's a buyer for everything. One of my old colleagues used to say, there's a buyer for everything, otherwise there would never be homes on Knight Street. And there is definitely a buyer for everything. As I've told you guys, I sell a lot of condos, one of the top producers in Vancouver, and have been for a long time now. And I tell you guys, I sell everything. I sell incredible homes, detached homes, townhomes, duplexes, condos that has everything going for it. If it's a condo, it's in a really fantastic strata. The unit itself has a nice outlook, maybe facing southwest, nice and bright. The inside the unit is meticulously maintained or fully renoed. It just shows beautifully. The home decor, the decorations are all working for it. I love to sell those. Those are the ones for a lot of the times where I'm setting new price, high price marks in those stratas, new record-setting prices. I've got some still in downtown Vancouver now that I still hold the high price mark, and it's been several years since I sold those units. Then I have others that are maybe not quite as good, but there's ways we can improve them. Maybe the strata's got a few things coming up. Maybe the unit itself is in need of a reno, or maybe it's a lower floor unit, faces north, it's a little bit darker. Maybe it's a little cluttered, so I can work with the seller. We can get a storage locker. I've done lots of blogs, as you guys know, on presenting the home, preparing the house. A little bit of time and a little bit of money, I'll get it back for you 3 or 4-fold. A lot of it, the cheapest way is just a lot of decluttering. If you have to get a storage locker for $250 for the month, put some stuff into storage, kind of keep the unit minimal. We can definitely improve the selling price that we get. And then, of course, every year I'll sell a number of homes that are what I call a tough sell. There are tough sells out there. That's what keeps me on my toes. And it's funny, I enjoy selling those a lot of times just as much as I enjoy selling the absolute wonderful homes that are the best of the best, because it keeps you on your toes. You have to get a little more creative in how you're going to market the home. Try and do the best you can to improve its marketability. But at the end of the day, sometimes it is what it is. The unit might be on a busy corner, a lot of street noise, or near a bridge or an off-ramp. The strata itself might have some issues coming up, and it's in the docs, it's in the depreciation report that, we've got remedial work that's going to be coming due pretty steady here for the next 5, 6, 7 years. And any buyer on this home is going to probably have to have a bit of a slush fund there, putting some money away for these special levies. Now, a lot of times it's not defective workmanship, it's not a leaky condo, it's just age-related remediation work. So those ones, I sell those all the time. So yes, there are tough to sells here. I'll give you an example. I'm not going to, I always like to go on Paragon, and every month or two I'll give you guys kind of something that I see on here that I just wonder if they're getting good counsel, this seller, and what they're doing with this. And this is going to be a prime example of a tough sell. So I'm not going to give you guys the address. I like to keep you guessing because I want to protect the innocent here. And I don't know, I'm not privy with the circumstances here. If it's the realtor, maybe the realtor's not doing, a proper job on giving a CMA on this, where they should be priced, preparing the unit. Sometimes, in a lot of cases, the seller calls the shots, which, of course, in my business, I don't do. The seller's not a realtor. I'm the realtor. I'm the professional. I've got fiduciary duty to you, Mr. Seller, to always act in your best interest. So most of the people, everyone that hires me knows that, and they're going to let me call the shots on this, on how we're going to market it and sell this. So I'm going to leave the address and everything else out on it. But I know the strata. I have had sales in this strata in the past. My last one was fall of 2022, and it was not an easy sale. I think I had this unit on the market for about 4.5 months and had 2 small price reductions before I finally sold it. And the market was pretty decent in fall of 2022. At least I had the market in my favor at that time. So that kind of got me out of it. But it's not the greatest strata, and for a few things, I'll give you guys a few tips here. The big one that I notice, I've told you guys, when I first walk into a strata that I've never been into before, first few things I notice is the condition of the lobby. It's not an end all to be all, but if that lobby is impeccably kept, the furniture and everything looks like it's in good condition, the floor is clean, looks like it's been mopped, that's always a good sign. In the mail room, is there a bunch of stuff scattered all over the floor? Are the garbage cans overflowing? Those are good signs. You want to see that clean and in neat condition. This is just first impressions. The next thing I look at right away, and I already have an idea of this in my mind, I know how many units are in the strata. How many elevators do they have? And I've talked about this one before, the unit to elevator ratio. And what I want to see is 50 units or less is really good. As a matter of fact, 60 units per elevator or less is good. 70, 75, okay. 80, I can live with it. What I don't want to see is anything over about 90, 100 units per elevator. I've got stratas where it's 35 unit boutique building with 1 elevator, so 35 units per elevator. The building I live in is 100 units, 2 elevators, so that's 50 units per elevator. This is great. This is what I want to see. 120 units for 2 elevators, yeah, no problem. This particular building, it's 425 units, 4 elevators. So we're talking 105 units per elevator. You will notice that on the weekends when I was showing this in this strata on a busy Saturday or Sunday, often long lineups for the elevator, takes a while. God forbid if you have an elevator that's being used for a move or it's out of service or whatever else, ouch. This is lined up around the corner to get onto these elevators. So that's one of the things. This building has a very high unit to elevator ratio. But a couple other things here. Listed at around $1.5 million, just around 1,100 square feet. I think it's overpriced. The killers here though, tenanted property, and here's the real bad part, I'm going to talk about this. It's on a fixed term tenancy till the end of November 2024. So here they just listed this. It's been on the market for 2 weeks, and they've got pretty much close to a 1-year fixed term tenancy still on it. Nuts. And they point out too that it's rented at $3,500 a month. So $1.5 million, $3,500 a month. No investor is going to go near this. Give you guys an example. I could sell almost three 1-bedroom condos in a couple of the good older strata that I've been getting into in the West End. These will sell for around $525 to $535 each. That'll get $2,500 a month. This is $1.5 million for $3,500 a month, and on a fixed term tenancy. So you want to see a hard to sell. This one, this is impossible to sell. This is not going to sell. And Mr. Seller, I don't know how you were counseled on this or what you're doing here, or if it's you, the realtor, I don't know. But you're not doing anything here. I mean, all you're going to do, it's a 120-day listing. It's going to sit for 120 days. You're going to rack up 120 days on market unsold. And I don't know if you renew it later on, even if you drop the price $100K, it's still going to sit on the market. This is overpriced, fixed term tenancy, low rent, and again, not the greatest strata anyways. Again, there's a buyer for this. This strata's got it's a decent strata. It's not that old. It's only about 10 years old. But there's a buyer for it. But for any of the real in-the-know realtors like myself that do a lot of work downtown, generally I don't go into this strata unless I saw something on here that was incredibly priced sharp, maybe. And it was owner-occupied or vacant for an investor, perhaps. But this is a tough to sell right here. It's not going to go anywhere. And, The seller here, the tenant left at the end of November of last year. That would have been the time to list this home. That you wouldn't have had to have paid the tenant to leave. You could have gone in, cleaned the unit up, staged it. And I've told you guys, at the end of November last year and the first couple of weeks of December were a pretty strong market. It was a nice little window there. If you would have priced this right vacant, reduce the price of it, you're too high here, you would have had a good shot at it. But now there's no buyer for this. No buyer, even if they're an end user, are going to buy this, assume your tenant at the low rent, and then move into it at the end of this year. That's the earliest they can move into it. It doesn't make any sense. But when the tenant gave you notice here, that would have been the absolute perfect time to sell it. Now, can you imagine the tenant here? The tenant signs a new tenancy in December, last month. And I don't know, a couple weeks later, the the owner calls him and says, by the way, I've got a realtor that's going to be coming over in the next few days to take photos, which are with his camera phone. The photos are terrible. And we're going to list this home. The tenant, I'm sure, is saying, I just signed a lease and now you're putting this on the market and you want me to give you showing schedules and everything else. It's nuts. Why would you put it? I mean, I would be pretty teed off if I was the tenant in that situation. Sign a 1-year lease, and then 2 weeks later, the owner says, I'm selling the unit, and I need your cooperation to show it. But the good news is for Mr. Tenant, at this price and a fixed-term tenancy, don't worry about it. You're not going to have any showings. So, don't even worry about it for now. But no home is tough to sell. Disagree. There's lots of homes. There's a buyer for everything out there. Absolutely, if the price is right and you market it right. But some homes are a lot tougher to sell than others. This one would be one of them. A lot of ways to improve the marketability on this, but for right now, they're not doing it. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. See you next week.